something I was gonna say. I had a pre-line. I was
And
like, "Oh, this will
so
be."
starts the podcast.
Yeah. Jeez,
We're live.
way to start a week. I need
Wow,
more
that-
sleep
This
to do
thing
this.
started like a Studebaker. Oh.
Those old lawnmowers. Just, boom, boom.
Diesel engine. The kids are not in bed. The parents are desperate, but there's adult beverages poured, so everything's gonna be okay. Welcome to New Dad Gaming. As always, I'm Trevor, and I have a 5-month-old.
I'm Gavin. I have a 3-month-old.
I'm Jeff. I have a 2.5 and 5-year-olds.
What a start! Good week.
Boom.
So tired. I'm so tired. Just like, it's, the best part is like if it'll be great to go back in history and watch them and just see like the fluctuations as kids start to sleep. Like especially like once Gavin and I kids turn about like a year like and they're really starting to sleep through the night. Like you'll just see our energy levels like skyrocket and we're super sharp with all of our
You have
quick-witted
high
jokes.
hopes. Wow.
Yeah.
Get your glow back.
You care to dissuade me of those dreams, Jeff? Does it not get any better?
I don't know. I think you're exhausted from chasing them around after that.
So there's no hope, is what I'm
But
hearing.
there's no hope. Yeah, 18 years. There's hope after that, from what I'm told.
In quiet moments of super tired desperation, I've found myself actually saying, just 17 and a half more years. Just 17 and a half more years.
Just wait for 2. You guys are still on 1. Get in the 2 camp.
Oh, right. Oh, we're going to have another one. Oh,
Twins. There you go.
I wanted twins, funny enough. And even now, I know how much more pain it would be.
Yeah.
But it's
that's
kind of-
like... Yeah.
Hold on. Let me walk you through this. I'm just figuring that,
Like
yes, it
somebody
would
going
be...
overboard. Going, I really wish I had lead shoes.
But it's something like it's like you can be beat up twice savagely, like 2 completely independent times of which you have to recover, or just once
Oh,
that's
yeah.
super bad.
I
Right?
see what you're saying, yeah.
So
Rip the Band-Aid, right?
Rather than
Yeah.
getting mugged twice a couple years apart, you'd rather get like mugged really bad and hospitalized once.
Exactly. Thank you. Surgery once. See, the thing is, I'm thinking like literally we're not like planning for the second yet. We do hope to have a second child.
Oh,
And
by you saying we're not, that means that she's already planning. Because I recall
Surprise.
Halloween when she saw our little one, who's only a couple months younger than yours, and automatically she was like, "Oh, I want another."
yeah, I'm not sure if you saw how like intense
There's-
my eyes got when you like
Oh,
when you were like baiting her with babies. Like, you remember how sweet little babies are? I'm like, no, not yet.
Day on AB day, yeah.
Oh, but yeah. So I'm thinking of it now. Like we're starting to make progress. Things are starting to get better. And how would you like to just throw that all away and go deep back into baby hole +1? And there's going to be another guy just making it worse. And the thought of like just having to go through that just once, as awful as it would be, but you have 2 of them simultaneously going through that, seems better.
Seems.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of
See,
angry letters.
We're on the fence about whether like we're gonna want to have a second or not. See, I'm an only child, so like the idea of siblings to me is like, yeah, you take them or leave them. Like it's not as like
Whatever.
it's not as rooted, because
Yeah.
like when I was a kid, like being an only child, I just made brothers and sisters by going out and making friends, and then that would be my new one of my best friends, like I've been friends with him since we were like 4 or 5. Like we've known each other for a couple decades and change, and he's basically my brother, but not my brother. So like there is that sort of the siblings by unofficial adoption kind of thing, or hell, even official adoption. You could just be like, you know what? Maybe we'll get one that's already, fit of a kid.
I will
Is
say it's
that
like
right, too?
it's a funny assumption that gets made too. By the time you have one, Like there's a lot of immediate questions like, okay, well, when are you going to have your next? Like there's just this like immediate assumption like, well, clearly you're going to
You
have
gotta have the
more.
white picket fence and the 2.5 kids, one dog, one cat. Gotta hit the.
Yeah, so, sorry, little Timmy. You're only half a kid, so
Only half a
we're only going to celebrate half your birthdays. Sorry.
Yeah.
Cutting costs, Timmy.
You gotta have one for parts.
Oh, wow.
I hit my politically incorrect quota of the day.
So speaking of Fallout,
Good transition. I like it.
did you see there was a mod that came out? So the biggest gun in the game is what's it called, Gavin? Like the baby nuke or junior nuke?
Oh, the Fat Man.
Fat Man. Sorry. The reason I say baby nuke is what the mod
Oh,
exists.
Yeah.
Is that they take there is in the opening scene there is a little baby so a little baby is modeled and it gagas and goo goo. They took that and replaced the mini nuke inside of the gun. So instead you are now throwing babies that then proceed to detonate and in a nuclear explosion.
Seriously, some of those diapers, though, right? It wouldn't be that far off from nuclear fallout.
Like you can understand some of it, but like I'm trying to imagine as a dad, like, so my most powerful weapon is to huck crying babies and have them explode and kill things.
It's new dad gaming at its best, right? At its finest. You're like, wow.
Yeah, I think we found a sponsor.
Funk.
Wah!
The aggression. Get the aggression out.
So be like, yeah, it's just that's a weird type of catharsis as far as like that's how you're calming yourself. Like that's worrisome, I think.
Well, I think it's definitely coming from somebody who isn't a parent.
We hope.
Hopefully.
Unfortunately, like despite how affecting the first scene was for me, as I discussed last week, because of the baby and the new fatherhood gig, I will say like I found that infinitely hilarious. Because ultimately, if anything, it's probably because the baby model looks so silly.
Well, it's very Monty Python. Like that's the thing. Like when you look at it, it's like that's totally straight out of Monty Python. Like you'd expect the baby to land, there'd be an explosion, and then a foot comes down and crushes a death claw. Like it's just very, or like you fire the baby in the air and like Yakety Sax starts playing. Like it's just like. I think that's what makes it digestible and not like something that's like, oh my god, that's so horrible. It's like it's a baby catapult. It's silliness. It's okay. It's just a cartoon. Everything's gonna be fine. It's not real.
It's
jokes.
Yeah, it's so silly. But so I built a chair for an old woman in Fallout 4. She wanted a special chair, and that was nice. And that was a nice thing to do for her. The best part, though, was like to offset the kindness that represents is she needed the chair because I had shoved her so full of drugs that she needed a comfortable place to sit.
And ride it out.
And ride it out. And it's like I literally did that task after our conversation about how I was likely to be Super Mr. Nice Guy. And then literally within the next hour of my play, this old woman asks me to build her a custom chair that's comfy. And I'm just like, come on. What is like...
Of course I'll do that.
It's like, what, did Jeff and Gavin like hack the game so like this would come up to like just make me seem soft in this wasteland? Like,
the best part is if you built it and she's like, no, I want a rocking chair. And you're like, oh, fine. Favorite part.
Yeah, chop 20 trees to produce this one rocking chair for a woman. Took me 6 hours. But
I'm off like just blowing up robots. I built a dog house for the dog. The dog stays at home, does not come with me. But the dog is happy, I guess. I don't know. I don't do any of the settlement stuff. I left the Minutemen. They can go do their thing. Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. So by way of quick explanation, they've added an element, and I don't know, Gavin. I assume this was not in previous installments of Fallout. The settlement. Yeah.
Lord, no.
Okay.
No.
So they've added a part where for other survivors of this nuclear apocalypse, you can build these little camps, and within the camps, for them to be happy, they need this much water, this much food, this much shelter, blah, 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 blah. So there's a whole building and SimCity style, like that doesn't describe it
The
right. 'Cause
Sims
it's
probably, right?
a bit more towards the Sims. Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
make people happy and also hope they can survive. So sorry, Gavin, continue. I just want to give some context to.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, that's the thing I don't do.
It's
Because I don't
everything.
like to do that.
Everything you just described, I don't do that stuff.
Yeah, I do not.
I make an active effort to avoid it.
So, but I thought it was like, is it not part of like the first missions though? Like how did you get around it?
You just don't follow them to Sanctuary. They're like, hey, you're looking for that kid. Okay, try Diamond City. So I'm like, okay. And I went looking for Diamond City.
Thanks and good luck. You just took off.
Yeah.
Man.
Playstyles. This
Well,
is a great playstyle. Gavin's like, oh, look, shiny, I'm going, bye. And Trevor's like,
Well,
all
not
right.
only
so
that,
you
it's
set
like
a
I got
map.
my eye on the prize. They're like, the goal in the game is to find your kid, not make chairs. So when they say, okay, you have two options. Option A, over yonder is a city called Diamond City, and that's where you can go. And I'm just checking on stuff. You see my volume come down. That's where you can go and look, and that's the best place to find some leads about your kid, your missing child, who you're trying to find so desperately. Or you can come with us and play house. And I'm like, I'm gonna go find my kid. I'm gonna go south. I'll come back maybe if I got time later. Maybe we can build some cool stuff. But
So this is really a competition. Like, who's the better parent?
Do.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Right?
This is like, so who's,
trying to
so-
find
but
a top.
this is like who's the better parent versus who's the better person. And it's just like, this is that's a deep question.
I'm saying, I don't
That's
know.
a deep
you're
debate.
like chairs.
The way
Like
I
it-
see it, like I just woke up. Like these people have been surviving in the wasteland their entire life, and they need me to build them furniture. It's like they'll be fine.
So
They've lived this long. If not, they're in Darwin's hands. It's not my fault. It's not my
They're
problem.
breaking in the new guy, right? They're like, fish.
So back up a second though. So this means you did not build a chair for the old woman.
No, I also didn't
Damn it!
give her drugs.
I thought for sure that was gonna. I thought like that was part of the opening quests, and I'm like, well, Gavin will clearly have to build this woman a chair. You're telling me I built the chair for the old woman and you didn't?
Yeah, no.
Like as based on what we assumed our paths would be.
Yep.
Damn it!
Yep.
Damn it!
You're never
God.
finishing this game, Trevor. It's never gonna happen. Your kid's gonna be like 5.
It's a bit, man. It's so weird because like I've been so so like, in some ways like I guess I'd like to back up a little bit about it, where from a dad context in playing this game, like in as far as like our timing and what we can, how much we can play, how the game works amongst our schedules, it's excellent. I think it's so dense. There's so many little nooks and crannies and interesting layers within this game. Like this, you could always find something kind of to do. So even if you had a quick gaming session, generally speaking, you're going to be able to get some pretty interesting stuff in. The constant ability to save just at any point. I quite literally had a baby meltdown where I had to abandon game, and it's just like pause, save, get out of there, and quickly go out and help with the baby. So I mean the density, the fun, like the listing of the missions and various things, how it's very organized and tells you where to go if you are following it to any degree, so you never really lost. Like it, excellent. I think it's a lot better than I expected it. As far as its structure of it. What does concern me about it is the depth, because it really feels like it's a game that I would enjoy an 8-hour gaming session with, where I can really just get lost in it. And at this point, like in so building old lady chairs, I'm concerned that I'm going to be missing a whole bunch of cool, like much bigger, cooler stuff, because I'm so much enjoying like the tinier nuances of it. Enjoying keyword, but ultimately it still feels like I might not achieve
You're admiring
the
the
full
trees. You're admiring the trees, but missing the forest.
Yeah, exactly.
You're focused on like these, and like I know eventually I will probably get into the settlement management stuff. I am enjoying the crafting. Like the Red Rocket gas station that you first go to. Like I set up some defenses. Put
Okay,
in
wait,
some
hold on.
furniture.
Stop there. Stop there. You did not help the town full of people, but you did barricade up the gas station. Which
This is mine now.
Yeah,
So-
that's where all the stuff is. My
so you
dog
appl-
lives there.
you applied resources to the empty gas station.
No, my dog's there.
You applied nothing to the settlement of humans. God,
They're not my settlement yet. They're not my responsibility.
that's where your house was. That's your old town.
200 years ago.
Man, it's like a week. It's like less than a week to you. 200 years.
It's like that's the thing is you make it seem like these people you used to borrow sugar from. They're like probably not even related to the people you used to borrow sugar from.
They're in need of help. They're humanity's last stand.
They're more your butler robot's responsibility than they are yours.
Your butler robot's there. He remembers you.
Exactly. So they'll be fine.
God. It's like, I hope in your game there's consequences. Like I want. It sounds horrible. I want your people to die. So
Whoa.
But Trevor,
This-
they're not my people.
everyone's your people. There's no.
No,
There's
they're
so
not.
few people left.
There should really be a time limit on how long you have to find your son to motivate Trevor. Because by the time he
No.
reaches his son, he might have died from like a heart attack.
What they should do is on the radio on your Pip-Boy every so often it should just be like, "Cats in the cradle in the silver stream."
Single tears, just
Single tear roll down your character's eye.
Yeah, it's fun. And it's funny that I haven't. I just have not had a lot of. The world is great, and like I like the stories with the people, and it, like I said, just roaming around, finding stuff, and helping folks out is wonderful. I have not had much to any drive for that. The whole father storyline, like it's like find your kid. Like it, I feel no dire need to find the kid. As weird as that sounds.
I keep trying to make it to Diamond City, and then I see like something over the horizon. I'm like, "Ooh, what's that?" Like Jeff's got it right. It's like I see a shiny thing, and I bugger off to the horizon. I think that's. It would be hard. It's hard because part of the appeal of this game is its exploration aspect, and it's sort of like endless horizon of just things to find, and sometimes you travel a little too far out of your level. Like I got chased away by a giant robot. I had to it chase me back over a hill. Like I had to book it. I almost died because I'm like I think I'm like at a level 11, and the robot was like at a level 30. So basically, it's like you're not gonna win. Like I had my strongest weapon aimed at him, and I turned on VATS, and it took like a millimeter off of his health. I'm like, I'm gonna just get out of here. And I don't know. I think the further, because as you try to get further south to your objective of finding your kid, the enemies get tougher too. So it's like sometimes you have to backtrack and resupply, and then try to get deeper in. So it's like a wave slowly chipping away at the shore. Like slowly you get south enough and strong enough to get south to hopefully uncover more of the story. But you're right. There's not like a huge narrative motivation. Like you seem more motivated in carpentry than you do in fatherhood when it comes to the game. So
wow.
Oh, that's just getting personal now. What is this?
But have they left like clues or something around? Like maybe you turn on a radio and you hear his voice or something. Like I don't know.
yeah, because when you
I think when you
the house, there's some toys there, but
Nothing.
my character didn't it would have been nice if you had revisited the nursery and you pick up like one of the toys, or you play with the mobile. If like your character's like, yeah, I really got to get on this, like just like a little because every so often your character will say stuff like if you try to pick a lock that's way outside of your skill level, they'll be like, oh, this thing's way too tough. So your character's voiceover every so often comes in with some internal narration, but I haven't encountered any yet that's been sort of like, I wonder how my kid's doing.
Yeah.
Like just a little voice in the back of your head, kind of like,
Yeah.
you know that thing trying to find your child in the apocalypse. You want to get on that?
Oh yeah.
So I was too busy building the shed. No,
But even still, like maybe you're building it and then all of a sudden there's like a flashback. Oh, Jimmy was like to do this.
I've
Jimmy likes sheds.
I've put more effort putting turrets around a doghouse than I have searching for the child in the game. And maybe that says something about the motivations, but maybe that also just says something about my attention span. So
yeah. I'll say when I loaded up the old lady with drugs, a lot of her preceding a lot of the hallucinations from said drugs were about the kid. Like oh, if you go here, you'll go to this alleyway, you'll find this, and you will find your son. Like blah blah. I can feel a life force. I think that interaction has been the only thing that's pushed me towards finding your kid. The rest of it has really just been, hey, there's a bunch of mole rats. Could you murder them for me? Neat.
Thanks.
Yeah. And then,
I remember her mentioning something about being like clairvoyant, and it's like, I'll tell you more about your son if you get me some of the good stuff. But I don't know. I really didn't. I also remember reading some warnings about like don't go to Sanctuary at first because they're gonna just eat up all your time. Like try to just do other stuff. And I've got to do some quests with like the Brotherhood of Steel, which is pretty wicked. We cleared out a auto assembly plant full of raiders. That was pretty fun. Yeah.
So I have. So in direct contrast, I have created a second settlement full of people. I have liberated like 2 farms from raiders.
Wow.
It got revenge. So it's been like, it's very much like Batman of the Fallout as far as just running around like, how can I, no, it's more, I was going to say Robin Hood, but I'm not really stealing and giving. I'm trying to think of like Johnny Do-Good or Johnny Appleseed, maybe, like planting like seeds of hope.
Just trying to rebuild. You're going straight presidential. Like you're just.
Yeah, there's a literal perk that I chose called Local Leader that allows you to transfer your goods between settlements.
Yeah, that's one that I'm interested in, but my charisma.
Why would you be interested in that? Your only settlement has a dog and some guns. Like.
But it also has a whole bunch of resources that if I don't have to taxi those back and forth, then that's better.
Just like,
I'm gonna come back later and do all these settlement things.
Yes.
The thing is, you put up a foghorn or something. You put up like a stereo transmitter radio thing, and that calls in new settlers, right?
Yeah.
So that means there's a population out there that you could always repopulate these spots with. If a few of them get eaten by raiders,
there's always more people.
There's always more sort of settlers you call in.
Free meat. But yeah. So on the one side, as I mentioned, like it seems very sessionable, very clear as far as like this is what you are doing and this is like the goals you currently have. And that's enough depth that if you want to do nothing to do with goals, you can just really meander around and have a great time and enjoy it. I am getting a sense of this guy, Johnny Do Nothing, or do everything. But
I like to wander.
But then I just get that, just get that sense of foreboding with the size and the scope of it, where it would there'd be a real great sense of enjoyment I would get out of it if I could play it like I used to play games and like spend all night, like given an 8-hour session, like things I can't do anymore. So it's very much playable in my new father context. It's a little, sad's not the right word, but it's just like you get that sense that if, you weren't a new father, you'd be able to really just go all in on this for a while and have a wonderful time.
You sound like the person who's kind of like kicked a habit, and they get like a morsel of that habit, and they remember back when they used to overindulge with that habit, and they're like, "Yeah, that stuff's really great, but I remember back when I used to just go hog wild.
Eat donuts all day.
Yeah.
Ignore everybody.
Just to shut the world out, lock myself in a room. Whatever you hear, do not open the door.
Yeah, I think it's it's still something getting used to. Overarching theme of my gaming life now is just that new concept of how small and minute it is compared to the rest of the time. And it's not that I'm super busy with work all the time and spending time with my wife and trying to do other things, but ultimately it was just that decent chunk that doesn't exist anymore. And with games like that, which so happy that it is playable for me, but like it really does bring to light that like you are not in Kansas anymore. Like this is you cannot spend the old time you used to.
The hobby is having to take a bit more of a back seat, which is understandable, but at least like with a game like this, with the quick saves and all that, it's still feasible to enjoy it, and like we can still enjoy it. And we do harken back to when we would sit and have like a 6 to 8 hour just binge on it. But now we have to be selective about how much time we spend with this hobby, and on top of that, how much what we do during that time. Like, we pick the things in the game that we like doing and go do as much of that as we want. But then there's other times where it's just like I could see myself getting absorbed into the settlement stuff, but right now I need my fix for Fallout, which to me, from the previous games, because there wasn't any of that settlement stuff, was just load myself up with, all the gear that I need, and then just go out and see what I can find and see what sort of trouble I can get myself into. To me, that was the thing about Fallout that I loved. So I think that's kind of why. I think if I was in your shoes there, Trevor, and this was like my first big Fallout experience, because I'm correct in that assumption, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we were talking about this. I would actually probably be playing it very similar to you. Like, I probably would have been absorbed into that settlement. But I think because I have a bit of a bias by playing all the other games and being like, no, I just want to go. I just want to roam and go over yonder and see what's over the next hill. That kind of knowledge of what that sort of game experience can be, I think that's what has drawn me away from getting absorbed into those other components, which I think if this was my first Fallout game, I could see myself easily being like, yeah, I'll build you a chair. That sounds fun.
Sounds fun. Whee!
I will say, though, the weapon crafting in the game is really awesome. And being able to name your weapons is even better. I've been really enjoying that.
Yeah, that's as a small tip, I'd suggest anybody listening to this, like, name your weapons, because it really makes it easier to explain what the gun does.
And not sell them by accident, too.
Yeah.
And naming them is just fun. Like, I got one named Betty, or Betsy, and she does some good damage. A little 10 mil handgun.
Talking about it so sweetly.
Oh, Betty. It's great. It's like saved my life many times. I have a baseball bat with spikes in it called Thumper. I use that on the bloat flies. What do I got? I got a shotgun named Boom, with like an extra long barrel, and yeah, Boom's good. Boom's really good. Good on zombies.
I have one at the silencer called Pew Pew Shh. Like that. But one of the interesting things with this game is that in so doing, like Gavin and I have bought a ticket onto Hype Train, and we're just chewing along full on into it. It's kind of an interesting experience too, because when big games like this came out, I can remember with GTA 5 or Metal Gear Solid 5, when these things came out, like other things that I didn't participate in. It's like you're kind of watching that train just pass you by as other people are just exploring and blowing up and things, and much like Rocket League 2, where I got in super late. And, much like we're talking about our context, where now as dads, like you can't really spend that much on games, or ideally you're not spending that much on games, and putting your resources towards better things, babies, and also just time. So like now it's an interesting marriage as far as like picking few select games and what it means to be participating in the latest hyped game and picking your spots. Like Jeff, I don't know, like in referencing, I know for instance, you're not on Fallout with us, but you've been with Rocket League since, I don't know, was it like, did you get it right at the beginning? Like, were you part of that initial wave?
With the PS Plus, yeah. So like when they released it to PS4, I was on there. But it's like a quick win kind of thing, right? So it's it had its own hype train, but it was mainly because it was so ridiculous and not known, and kind of came out of nowhere, right? No one expected it to be so big, and then give it away for free. You're going to get that base of players, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas Fallout had its own following, and then I think a lot of people bought into the hype, and I'm just standing back throwing tomatoes.
Well, in the game they're called Tatoes, so you got to get on brand.
But seeing all the stuff about Fallout is frustrating, I would say, just because I don't want to hear about it. But I do want to hear about it, but I don't. You know what I mean?
Hey, Jeff. Shh. Hey, Gavin. Remember with Fallout where you're going over? I'm kidding.
But it's the good part about it is that every post about it or person talking about it, it is a different story. So it's not like Rocket League where everybody that posted about it was just a goal. Like it was the same thing over and over. Like, look, I made a goal. Look, I jumped up and hit. So it was just, all right, that's enough. But at least with Fallout posts, it's different. Like, look at what I discovered here, and I did this, and I built a turret.
Look at this Easter egg, or look at this new mod, and this stuff and that stuff. So and it is very much like Skyrim in that regard too. Is that every user has a different experience. Like it's a very unique game to provide because it is so open world and just sort of like do what you want to do, like play it the way you want to play it. It does cater to a wide variety of experiences. So like it's very water cooler friendly.
That's a good way.
People can just talk about it and describe sort of their adventures in this make-believe post-apocalyptic wasteland, which is really interesting in that regard. I know Skyrim was the same when it came out. There was so many people just standing around talking about, and I found this. Then this dragon came and grabbed the bear and ate it, and then I had to kill the dragon, and then this, and then that. And it's just like
it was shooting bears out of its mouth. It was crazy.
Trevor's making a chair.
Yeah.
And then I made a steel chair, and then I made an ivory chair. And
wait, there's dragons? What?
Yeah.
Calling the blacksmith.
Why is everyone so violent? I don't get it.
Trevor, where have you been putting all your experience points? Whittling.
Yeah, Master Carver, like one-shot kill, like every time.
Yeah. I will eventually get it. It's just a matter of maybe it's a Black Friday sale, maybe it's a Christmas sale.
Yeah.
I will eventually dive into it. I can kind of relate to the whole Trevor situation with when I jumped into Dragon Age. If you don't get out of the first area called the Hinterlands, then you're stuck. You're doing farm quests and gathering buffalo, or whatever they're called in game, and making everybody happy, and you're not going out and exploring. And I got sick of that game like 3/4 of the way through. Just because I spent so much time doing that stuff, I just got, caught up in it.
Yeah, it's almost like dad's survival now with games. Like just you have to, and I talked about my struggles with Batman. With Origin, it's just like you don't need the Riddler trophies. You do not need the Riddler trophies.
Especially since the Riddler trophies now are like car trick jumps. Like
really?
The first Arkham Asylum game, the Riddler trophies were brilliant because they were all based off of like these little riddles and like visual puzzles within the environment. Where like now I'm seeing Riddler trophies where it's like, you jumped the Batmobile over a gorge. Like, well,
yes.
It's the Riddler's not Boss Hogg. Like, come on, use your brain, solve it. You're a detective. But yeah, I get it. Like, we can't 100% stuff anymore, and we have to kind of pick and choose our battles. And I find like with Fallout or even with like Skyrim, there are certain things where, at the end of the day too, it's like I pride myself on trying to be a good person and helping people out in real life. So when I'm playing a video game, I don't care. I don't care about your problems. It's a video game. Your computer code, not a real thing. Yeah, I'm going to go over and check that stuff out. You guys can farm your own potatoes. Leave me alone.
Yeah, in real life, Gavin is the hobo helper, the charity giver,
Yeah.
the kind neighbor, but in game, Gavin don't give a damn.
Yeah.
Are there achievements? There should be achievements for either stream. Like Trevor gets the good guy award, and
Yeah, I
Gavin
think I've
gets
seen some come in like Good Samaritan and stuff like that. The problem is, like, I
Yeah.
will say this, like I wish there was a bit more nuance, and maybe this game will present some nuance. But like I remember in the Mass Effect series, like it was either like,
Paragon, right?
yeah, it's like give lady $1 or punch her baby.
Yeah.
Like it was just so divergent. There's like just no middle ground. It's not like you could be a good person that had to do some bad things. It was literally just
Yeah.
it's
It's
like
like
how
the
like
morality system had two settings. It was like Mother Teresa or like Charles Manson. Like it just
it was so bizarre sometimes.
toggle was so like just disproportionate to one
Like,
side or the other.
I remember so I did a super, as is expected, I did a super great and good shepherd. Except there was one part where there's like an assassin that had killed someone you knew or like has just been causing you trouble a bunch of times. And the good option was just to kind of arrest him, and the bad option was to murder him. And I totally murdered him so hard. So much murder. Because for that one especially, it was just like, man, damn this guy. Forget it. This guy's getting murdered. Like, this guy's getting justice. I don't like... This fits my character, even despite it being bad. Like, that fit my character as far as, like, this guy needs to be taken out of the universe. But, yeah, I'm curious to see if Fallout has a bit more nuance than either, like I said, give $1 or stab baby. Like, I'd like to see some variety.
Apparently
We'll have to
there's
see.
some tough moral decisions further into the narrative. I've heard that, like, I've been trying to avoid reading much about it because I don't want to spoil it for myself. But I've heard that there's some pretty tough moral choices to be made later on. And I think it might be more of like, rather than picking like extremely good or extremely bad, usually tough moral choices are when you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Like both decisions are in a gray zone where neither one is pure, but neither one is purely evil either. Like both are justifiable decisions, but there's consequences in each. I think that's always more interesting storytelling than the like pure protagonist or the don't care about nothing anti-hero.
Also known as Gavin. But I remember, I think the best instance I've ever seen of that, and this will be a spoiler, so anybody who hasn't played through Mass Effect, Jeff's gone. I forget which one it was. I think 2 or 3. Anyways, it's with what? Do you guys happen to recall? Probably looking at Gavin. What the names of the robots were? The AI guys look like snakes.
Not the
Gek? Or Geth?
Geth.
Geth, perfect, yes. So there's an AI race called Geth. They're controlled by a central AI program, and there's kind of 2 factions of them. And your decision was you can reprogram them, like this evil part of the Geth, so that they're not evil anymore, or you blow them all up. And what's kind of sad about it is that I think like ultimately that it's a really heavy decision, but there wasn't huge ramifications in game, and they didn't really play it up in some ways. But if you think about that, that's the decision of either you take away their free will, like they had free will and they decided to be evil, and you're just going to take away their free will and instead tell them to be good. And this is truly, they had evolved to the point where they just had made these terrible decisions themselves, those warrior decisions. So you either take away their free will and make them good, or in a more true decision, if you could call it that, you kill them, like you murder them.
It's like
So-
lobotomy versus murder.
Yeah, right. And it's just like in so doing lobotomy, ultimately you're kind of killing them, but in killing them, you're really kind of owning that decision.
Yeah.
Like, so that's a big decision, right? Like that's an actual real moral challenge. And
But what was good about that decision too is that the third option of doing nothing meant like most likely the extinction of the human race and most life in the galaxy, because they're a sentient robot species that can survive harsh elements. Like they're basically not good people to have to fight in a war. So to not do anything to allow that evil to exist could cause even more harm and cost more lives. So it made for a tough decision because it's like these are really the only two options you have to not have them run amok across the galaxy and just Skynet everybody. But like, is it really your choice, or is it really your place to be playing like a deity in all this and force your will upon them and your moral code upon them? And yeah, that's always an interesting like sociological gray zone of like, how do you do that and protect people? And yeah, no, I remember
Yeah.
that mission was it struck me as like a hard decision. I left it on pause for a bit while I pondered it.
And it's just like the problem. I think ultimately the problem was like the payoff for it was internal, like it was for the player. If they, if they really kind of caught it, like caught the nuance of it, or if they're just like, yeah, I don't know, kill them, whatever, or like be like the robots, neat, whatever, like load Windows on them, I don't care, like.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, Mac user Jeff over here is like, oh no, that's a worse fate.
slow death.
Just like
Slow death. But
it's like Windows Vista. Just like,
It's a living hell forever.
it's like
But so the in-game
Fine.
payoff though, like that, like how would you in-game show that magnitude? And it's probably some of the challenges where like that gray and that scope and that scale, like to try to represent it, it might be beyond current methods of gaming. So it might not be something like real, actual moral, like shades of morality might not be something we can really get into.
Last
Well-
of Us was good with that as well, like with some of the actions that your character a lot of times had to carry out. You didn't get a lot of choice in the matter, but the gray zone was there was no moral right and wrong. It was just survive. Um, and I found that game really got me a couple times. For like, oh wow, that was pretty tough. I didn't know if I liked doing that, but didn't have a choice. It was that or you're dead.
Keep telling yourself that. You're like,
Yeah, then Gavin remembered in-game, Gavin don't give a damn. Just like,
Yeah.
the apparently a good game for that as well is This War of Ours, or
Oh, the War of Mine, yeah.
This War of Mine, yeah,
Yeah.
because like hearing some people describe it, like a couple other gaming podcasts, and just like the toll it took on in order to win or survive, like the decisions and the actions they had to take is just so out of their moral comfort zone. Like it affects them, like just like they're stealing like food from other survivors, and the survivors are just pleading like, why are you doing this to me? Like it's not like, hey, you're stealing my radishes, and then they just start to try to like kill you. It's much more about like, please don't do this to us, like we're just trying to live.
Yeah, we'll die
But you're
too.
Yeah. So it's meant to be. Yeah.
What was it? Spec Ops: The Line.
oh yeah, that one. Oof.
That one. Yeah.
What was
you,
the
you know
weight
what, you know
stuff
what
called?
I'm talking about,
What was the
right?
weight?
I would like you guys not to.
Brutal.
I will ask, despite being Captain Spoiler earlier,
was
I'll ask
brutal.
you not to say it because
Oh.
that's in my list. I literally have that installed.
Oh, you
Yeah.
should. It's a quick, like, well, 10 hours, but
Yeah.
you'll be done. And yeah, there are some big moral choices in that game.
There are some where you're just like, basically, because it's Heart of Darkness, but like in a sandstorm ravaged
Yeah.
Dubai. And there are some moments where you're just like, the horror. Like it's very just like, you're like, what have I done? Oh my God, what have I done? And it makes the act of like warfare and combat feel off-putting. And I think that's a really amazing accomplishment for them, because it shouldn't be comfortable, because it is killing. It's killing in combat, but it's still killing. And there's a few times where I was sneaking up on enemy soldiers, and I'm hearing these people just like, just shooting the breeze and hanging out and like talking about what they're gonna do when they get back stateside, and you're just like, these are normal people, like just normal guys. But then as soon as they get wise to you being there, they switch into murder mode and start trying to kill you, and you're like, well, I don't have a choice. Like it's that or I'm dead. even though these guys seem like guys I could have a beer with in any other circumstance, but because we're wearing opposing uniforms, we have to try to kill each other. And yeah, it's a really good game for just making people question the moral or lack thereof in regards to warfare. And just play it.
Yeah.
Anybody who hasn't played it, listening.
Play it.
Yeah. So would you have your let's say your kid turns 14, would you want him to play it?
Nope.
No, that's
And plus it's her, but you know.
that's like a psychological one too. Like it
No,
can really bring you. in
That'd be
place.
like saying, like, oh, hey, for your Sweet 16, here's a copy of Cormac McCarthy's The Road. Enjoy. Do a book report on it.
Yeah, I can expect a full
no,
report.
it's just like, it's kind of like, it's like there's certain levels of like, just content, like, things you can't unsee, things you can't unread, like Silence of the Lambs kind of stuff, that I think shakes people at a certain frequency that your body can only really withstand at a certain age. I think if it hits people too young, it can be a little too scarring.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's some stuff in that game where it's just like, yeah, I don't know, they're like maybe for kids, or not kids, but like for, you know, young adolescents, maybe it doesn't affect them. Like as you said, like with Mass Effect and dealing with the Geth, like maybe they're just like, yeah, kill them, don't kill them, I don't care, because they're also not comprehending the moral like enigma that's sort of wrapped around that. They're just like, yeah, this or that, it's binary, whatever. I just want to keep shooting at stuff. So maybe because they're not analyzing it, they're not realizing the weight of the decision. But I don't know. You'd have to really just judge the moral compass of your kid and their emotional maturity as well, because it can be a little rough to. It's a beautiful narrative experience, but it's also pretty horrific.
Yeah.
So.
I think they marketed that one completely wrong. Like it was like all like Call of Duty, like guns, blah, 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 in the desert is wicked. You got sand, and it's totally not that when you get into it. Like it's not. Yes, there's shooting, but it's really like a mind trip at the end of it. And
I wonder if that was on purpose though, to just kind of save that surprise.
Probably.
Like get enough people interested in it that likes shooters, and then just turn their heads around. And then that would get them talking, which ultimately they did. Like you heard a lot of reviews come out that were just like, "Whoa!"
Cult classic.
Yeah.
Got a big. Anybody who played it, you know, a lot of them have been like, "Yes, it is." Like, but it's too bad that the player reaction to it also, because like the studio, I think they ended up suffering quite bad from just lack of sales and. You know, when you have people in suits looking to decide whether they're going to invest in another production of a different title, and they don't see the numbers, they're not reading the views, they're not reading people analyzing how good of a narrative structure it had and how much it tugged at people's heartstrings. They're looking solely at sales, and unfortunately, it just didn't have the sales to allow that team to make something else of as meaty a moral exploration.
Yeah, that was a hard one. I think I actually got it for free. I think that's the only thing that got me to play it, because I don't think I would have
pay
picked.
for nothing.
I wouldn't
So
pick up a
you're
Call of
sensing a
Duty
theme within Jeff's games.
free.
So that's actually, you know what?
Hey, you got 2 kids.
He's like, take it easy there, one kid. You'll get here.
Daycare. Oh.
So so that's a good question. So what is the next hype train that Jeff will jump on?
Ooh.
Do you see anything in the horizon that, and I'm talking like cash money,
Cash money.
cash daycare, cash money.
Yeah.
What's the next hype train and maybe the answer is nothing, but what's the
I
next
don't
hype
know.
train you get on? What's the next ticket to hype train you buy?
Races fund on the table.
There goes college. Bam.
I think the full like day one purchase, or at least week one purchase, full money would probably be Uncharted 4. And that's just because I really like the series and it has a really usually good story,
Mhm.
and that's one that could be spoiled pretty quick. So I think
I
that's
remember
my
you voiced earlier too your fears of it getting spoiled for you.
yeah.
So
So that would probably be my big one. I don't see anything else that's really like I'm not a I would love Battlefront, but I just that's a lot of dough to put
yeah,
down, so I won't be jumping on that train. But I don't see anything else that's really uh, catching my eye other than Uncharted
Yeah,
that I
actually,
can think of.
geez, I'm on the Battlefront train. Uh, of all, it just kind of worked out again. Like a discount came up, and I had credits somewhere, and it all just came about. And more than that too, just like a bunch of friends of mine. Like I don't have a slew of gaming friends.
cats in the cradle and the silver
And the so he you and your soft melodic voice, Gavin.
Yeah, well,
the
I'm just saying.
the yeah. So with those, so it was an opportunity. It seemed great. And I went into it. That'll be wonderful. I'm not almost regretting it now. Like I'm not. I played some of the beta. Like I think it's coming out like shortly. I should be getting my key.
It's like
And-
tonight.
It's like
Yeah,
now,
like-
isn't it? Yeah,
Like now. It's now.
it's like now.
Okay.
Like you can have it now.
What are you doing?
Install it now. What are you doing?
Why are
Get out of here. What am I doing this? What am I doing this lousy show? Forget
All
you
the
guys.
reviews wrote, man. Get on it. Wow.
But yeah, so it's kind of funny actually. So I in getting caught up a bit in the moment, and then finding a really meaty deal, plus being able to use some credits that I had somewhere, resulted in that. Like, okay, yeah, let's just do this, and friends that I know are going to play it. And yeah, I'm just worried that's going to be something that I just don't play a lot of, and it ends up being just this kind of waste where like it is initial hype train, but it's just like they threw me out before it arrived at the station, and like so like I'll never arrive at the destination, so it's a waste of a ticket.
Yeah. Like you got on just in time, but then like you went to go use the washroom and it was actually just a trap door.
Even with Fallout too, like before now fortunately like it's paid off. Like I know this is going to be great. I'm going to get very happy I went with that purchase. But in so buying it like the days before, like as it was coming out, it was just like, man, if this ends up not being something that I really put some time into, like I've got to shift around the way I buy games, because like this is like I can't keep blowing money on games I'm never going to get around to playing.
Especially like the bigger titles too that are like 70-80 bucks a pop.
Yeah. Again, I paid nowhere near that for the game.
Okay,
So,
good, because I was about to say that's
Oh.
the only price I would have to pay for Fallout would be $80, right?
yeah,
Just
oh,
I think I
insane.
managed to get a little bit off as like around E3. They had like a pre-order thing where it's like, hey, you pre-order a couple of games, you get like 20% off. I'm like, all right, that sounds reasonable enough. And Fallout was one I wanted. And I chucked Just Cause 3 on the pile because I
Oh,
love
yeah.
the second one. And I know that they're both games that I've sunk plenty of hours into in their previous installments. So I knew I liked what those studios make. And I like, both studios have their fair share of bugs in their programs, but nothing that's been experienced breaking for me. So I was like, yeah, I'll put some. I seldom pre-order, but I'm like, yeah, I get to save a little bit. I got a baby on the way back at the time when I pre-ordered, so I was like, okay, save a bit, but I also get to do a pre-order, and pre-orders also look really good for the studios themselves. Like I know the Avalanche Studios who do who did the Just Cause game. Like they, I like to try when I can to help out studios day one. It's getting harder now that games have gotten so expensive, especially with like the new generation of consoles, and then also with Canadian retail. I find like we seem to be getting gouged more and more and more. Like it's like, oh, an extra $5. Oh, now it's another $5, another $5, plus the difference and it's like, honestly, goodness, like my friends and I could pile in a car and do a road trip to Buffalo and buy a bunch of games for a fraction and still save on gas. Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
The
Brutal.
Yeah.
exchange rate and shipping costs should not add that much per unit.
No.
But
Yeah, 80. I
Say
mean,
what
yeah,
they-
$80 to a game unseen just seems woefully irresponsible. Like
yeah,
it's really hard
it's
to,
justify that. But
especially.
at the end of the day, too, there's very much a first world problem. Like, there's harder things out there
Yeah.
that we could be worrying about. But like, yeah, pre-ordering or even day one purchasing. Like, I did a day one purchase for Grand Theft Auto 5 back on the 360, and that wasn't too hard on the wallet. But if it came out right now, it
Hmm.
would be coming out like at $80, like $79 plus
Yeah.
tax, and it came out at $59 plus tax only a few years ago. So the fact that a day one release on the current generation console is now $30 more than it was a mere 3 years ago?
Yeah.
It's
And a lot of the times, like, you don't know the DLC plans, right?
No.
Like, sorry to say, but with Battlefront, they hold back a lot of the maps and the extra stuff where they
Yeah.
split their player base.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
they
I
want
don't
you
do
to-
any of the season passes either. I find that's just like, just release a DLC and I'll
Yeah.
buy what I want. But like, I shouldn't have to buy your game and then buy a pass to all the content that you surgically removed from the game.
The Battlefront DLC worries me because like it feels like there's going to be just
$50.
yeah, that's like
That's insane.
that's
That's the
way
price
too
of a
much.
game. It's the
That
price
is
of a
insane.
game.
I think that'll be the sort of thing where it's just wait a decent long time,
Yeah.
wait for the Steam summer sale, and like maybe pick it up for $5-10 at
Yeah.
that point. Because I remember when I got Skyrim, like speaking of missing a hype train, I was like 2-3 years late to Skyrim. When I picked
Same.
it up, like what would probably be called like the Legendary Edition, which had all of the DLC, which was I think I picked up the entire thing for like $8.
Yeah.
Like it was absurd. The best part is like I'll say it did kind of ruin things because they didn't pace out the DLC properly. So I had it all installed, and I just walk into this village, and next thing you know, like so a vampire attacks, there's an assassination, and then there's some like god thing that happens over here, like literally just like succession of like 4 DLC things, all like just fire at the same time, and I'm like,
I can
oh,
just see the quest just outlining on your screen and you just pass
yeah,
out.
it's like,
That's a lot.
It's just, that's way too many chairs to build.
so many, so many chairs. Just like, how many old ladies are there in that land, and I need to find them all and assist their sitting capabilities.
Yeah.
Once it's like, what's that? My son? Oh, I don't know. I've been busy with chairs. Like,
Riding a dragon? Yeah, whatever. I got an ottoman.
this Chesterfield isn't going to build itself, lady. You got to forget your dragons.
Oh, jeez.
All right, but
On that note.
on that wonderful note, on chairs for everybody, we will wrap it up for this week. Everyone, thank you once again for being with us. 11 episodes so far, not too shabby. So please like, subscribe, leave us comments if you'd like to get in contact with us. If you have questions or show ideas, please visit our website at newdadgaming.com. We do this show weekly. And as always, I'm Trevor, and I have a 5-month-old.
I'm Gavin. I have a 3-month-old.
I'm Jeff. I have a 2.5 and a 5-year-old.
Still winning that baby count, week by week.
Yes. One day. You
Yeah, it'd be like
suckers.
combo breaker at that point.
Combo breaker.
Yeah, Gavin has triplets. Jeff's reign of
Oh.
terror is over.
I'll have to do this show full time.
Yeah.
So much money.
Mine would just begin.
Oh,
But hey, there's always reality TV if that happens.
Oh, yeah. That's
there you
good.
go. Gavin and 4, the new episode. This week on Gavin and Plus 4.
Oh, God.
Why me?
I like how in Trevor's math, Lindsay's just gone. She's like, that's it.
I would assume she would just want to leave. The better part of the show would just be you dealing with it, and then like she comes in afterwards, like after you've just ruined everything. It'd be great.
Are you done filming, honey? Can I come back in? Help undo all the damage you've done?
Uh, great, gents. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
See ya.
That's like willful. That is willfully disregarding human life. It's one thing to just not care. It's another thing to like care enough to specifically not help.
Look, I know I'm playing as a female character, but I'm not their mom.
It's a harsh love here.
Time for time for them to leave the nest and survive themselves.